1 hour close. Yeah, 1 hour closer. This thing, it didn't close too bad. It didn't close too bad, but depending on where you want to look at it from. If you had a bottom wick here, chat, I promise you, this would have been fine. Like, we would be here. I guarantee we'll be here. Because then you'll expect, I'll call this off as a closure above the most recent range, which is above this range to the left here, right? And with it closing above here, I'll say, okay, you know what? You're likely going to push up to mirror the traffic up towards here now. This could be the range fill. But since there's no bottom wick there to grab that liquidity, we have to wait for that still, right? So therefore, I'll call it off now as my resistance here being respected. Does that make sense? Because if you had a bottom wick, then at least you can say it's a mirror of this push up. No, it came down, tapped that zone, it cleared that zone, and now you're good to go. You don't gotta worry about that 4 candle flipping bearish again, right? But with the 4 candle being bearish though, any given point you could reject this resistance after a top wick. This kind of opened up no bottom wick too, but mainly it just closed respecting. So therefore, I'll call it kind of off as us closing respecting the zone here. So it's gonna be a little tough for me to get buys off the 1 hour candle off the rip, right? Which is like right now. But what you could wait for is, because that's not guaranteed, right? There's no guarantee of us not continuing to drive up. It's still overall bullish channel closure, so a small chance you could drive. But if that's the case, you need to apply a second set of confirmations. So for us, what you could do is draw a resistance up here at, I think, 5.7 here, and say, okay, if you close above here, amazing. But after closing above, what you'll want to see is you'll want to see a bearish candle form. So I think the 5 would be a better indication of that, or the 15 actually. So this is your resistance, right? What you want to wait for, what you want to apply is a set of extra confirmations. So that means a closure above, cool. That's your first confirmation. And then a bearish candle closure that respects this zone here. Because if you don't respect the zone, then obviously that's the start of the 4 candle flip. That's the start of the 1 hour flip after respecting resistance, right? But if you come down for a bottom wick and then you close respecting this how the candle looks, then amazing. All you need to do now is draw your resistance right here on price at this zone here at 2360 and say, okay, if you close above that zone there, amazing. You're good to drive up now towards the top of the range, right? And then you can look to mirror this traffic to the left up towards here, which will be this traffic and this mirror up. Because that, at least that way, you can say, okay, the 1 hour candle is ready to drive up now, right? At the end of the day, the 1 hour is still a bullish closure. So it's just about either it rejects this resistance for the 4 candle to come down, or it continues to drive for the rest of the wick and can continue up. But to confirm that, I would need to see that bullish closure, that bearish closure, and then a closure back above, and that will indicate that for me. And then you can attempt the rest of the range up towards the top of the range, all right? So again, it's gonna require more candles. It won't happen now. It's impossible for that to form now because